Hey folks, walk with me. Well, with the dog, and it is cold again and raining, so it's quite a combination. But I thought I would talk today about a trap. With the stock market, I was talking a lot recently about traps for dip buyers. And now, let's talk about traps for political commentators or people who are just trying to infuse some sense of reality, some good faith, logic, and arguments, and trying to have political discussion or debate online. Here's what you can't lose sight of. There are a lot of commentators, especially on social media, but especially also J.D. Vance, especially also Elon Musk, especially also the slew of billionaires and multimillionaires that are surrounding economic policy at the moment. These people are very skilled in the art of gaslighting. So these people aren't making arguments in good faith. They're making arguments that they get other gaslighters or other willfully ignorant followers to buy into, but they aren't making arguments in good faith. In other words, they aren't using standard logic. They aren't reflecting reality as it truly is and agreeing that there's a fundamental baseline reality from which we can operate. They are instead, as the saying goes, standing on their head and telling you that the world is upside down. So just be aware that if you're constantly trying to fact check or prove a point or, prove that someone is wrong on something, it's relatively fruitless because they aren't making their point in good faith. They're just attempting to gaslight. Here's the two things that I would say. One, the reason to not give into it and start arguing with them is because by gaslighting, they are trying to change the playing field. They're saying, we're not playing on the field of reality anymore, with facts that mean anything and with truths that mean anything. We are trying to play on a different field whereby I tell you that reality is not true, whereby I tell you that truths are not reality. And so they're trying to reset the standard of what's real and what's not. And so don't get caught then just playing in that field. Because then that's all that you end up doing, is arguing against what's true and what's not, and what's real and what's not. And you don't actually ever get to the substantive point that you're trying to make or that you think that they are woefully inaccurate about. So you'll never get there, right? They're trying to change the playing field. The thing that I would suggest doing is completely irrespective of somebody else. So in other words, you don't have to quote their post and say, here's why this is wrong or something like that. You could just put out your factual narrative, your good faith argument and logic, and completely ignore the gaslighters, because there's no point in trying to get drawn in to the world in which they are trying to create. It is a fictitious world meant to simply confuse and further undermine people's sense of sanity. And so putting out, figure out the topic that they're gaslighting on and put out your factual representation or your factual argument on it. Again, don't put this as a comment to their post, or put your own information out there, and hopefully the audience who is trying to consume some information on given topic will, to some degree, come across your well-intentioned, honest representation of reality post. And this isn't to say that you're right and they're wrong. It's just to say that you're making a good faith argument. You are not gaslighting above all. right? That is their primary focus. First, start by gaslighting and fill in the rest. So I would say put your good faith arguments out there and focus on the audience, because they are gaslighting this information out into the world because there's an audience for it. And there is additionally people who are not yet an audience for it that they want to reach. Go for those groups. Go for the existing audience who maybe will see your representation and understand that the other one is just factually incorrect, is not based in reality, and that it is pure lies. And then the folks who don't know that they want to engage with this information yet, the degree to which they find it. Because again, these people aren't just putting it out there over and over and over for their own audience. They are trying to grab new people. And so there's an audience there. I'm not saying that you can reach the already gaslit audience. You probably can't. But to the audience that exists, that is looking for that same information, I think that that's where you want to go toward and try to reach those folks with your representation of information on the same topic. All right, folks. Well, good luck out there. And if you walked with me or watched along this far, I certainly appreciate it. And as always, I will see you in the next video.